Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Football Martin channel. We're live this evening and we're reflecting upon the weekend in the Championship. We will be talking all things Southampton, of course. I'm here with Boise, a good friend of mine. We sit and talk football a lot, and we're doing that live this evening here on the Football Martin channel. Boise, welcome along to the show, my friend.
Thank you for having me, mate. How you doing?
Yeah, no, not bad, mate. Enjoyed some of the Championship football the weekend, other than our own game. Which we will come on to later in the show. But we should kick off, mate, with Preston North End. We played them the weekend. They were the Friday night game. It was a decent result for them. 2-0 down against Sheffield United. And they come from behind to win 3-2. Really good comeback for them, mate. Did you see the game?
Not in full, to be fair, but I did end up watching the extended highlights. And for any team to come from 2-0 down to get anything, even a point out of something would have been fantastic. But, to come back and win the whole thing and take all 3 points is fantastic. And it's a testament to what they've done this season. They've had a really good start, to be fair to them.
Yeah, it was a remarkable performance, remarkable turnaround. Sets them up nicely for the weekend's game down at St Mary's. We will look through all the Championship headlines from the weekend. We will come on to Coventry City, but we'll pop up the results on your screen now. Like I said, it all kicked off on Friday night. Preston North End coming from behind to beat Sheffield United. Still struggling down in the bottom three, Sheffield United. Portsmouth, they were beaten at home, Boise, against Stoke City. I was impressed with Stoke when we played Stoke City. It was an own goal, though, for Stoke that won them the game. They like to get balls in the box, don't they, Stoke City? And it was it was a big save, actually, from their goalkeeper. He's absolutely tremendous, Victor Johansson. He did make a good save just before that goal as well. Set them up nicely. A goalkeeper that I would have loved to have at St Mary's. Wouldn't you? You would have taken him, wouldn't you, Boise?
Every day of the week, mate. He was really good when they came down to play us and they beat us. And this season, he was one of their standout man. And Stoke, they're not an easy team to play against. They'll happily couch you on the counter attack. And they dug deep and they got the 3 points against Portsmouth. So power to them, really.
Yeah, big win for them. Elsewhere in the Championship, Ipswich back to winning ways. The game was a tight game, actually. West Bromwich Albion. It was a late winner from Jack Clark. I did see bits of that game. I was at home the weekend. I didn't make my way to Blackburn because I had the flu, so I did watch a few of the lunchtime kickoffs. That was the main game on Sky Sports. And the Tractor Boys, they were pretty dominant, mate, throughout, I thought. They played some good stuff. I think they've come good, actually, now. I know they've had a difficult start to the season, not as bad as we have been. But do you see them kicking on now, Boise, Ipswich?
Yeah, I'd say so. I think kind of all three of the relegated teams had a slow start to the season. The difference is that we are continuing the very slow start. In fact, we're getting slower by the week, it seems. And Ipswich and Leicester are really kind of starting to kick on now. And you look at that Ipswich team, there's some really, really good players there that they were able to keep hold of from the Premier League. I personally I think it's Matasiwa in midfield. I thought he was running the shop really well when we drew against them at the start. And McKenna's obviously a really good manager. So I trust they'll be absolutely fine and back up there fine for the top two in no time, really.
Yeah, I think they'll turn it around. I do think they'll turn it around, and I still think Saints will do. I still think Saints will turn it around. We will come on to all things Southampton. It'll be the last game that we speak about. We'll cover all the Championship, and then we'll have a good Saints chat at the end of it. We are Saints fan channel. We are Saints fans. Right, elsewhere in the Championship this weekend, Derby County, they big win for them at home against Queen's Park Rangers. Boys, it could have been more. I've just watched the highlights back again because I've not seen all the highlights from all the games. It was an early goal as well. I think it was Clinton Morris after 10 minutes, but QPR couldn't find a way back. Ben Brereton Diaz come close as well. I think they're starting to pick up some results as well. I know they've had a tough start under John Eustace, but it was a good result for them against a decent QPR side, if we're honest.
Very decent, very decent. There are a few people I work with actually who are QPR fans, so I'll give them their big ups. I think they've really surprised a lot of people this season, especially seeing as they went for a lot of changes at the start with kind of their goalkeeper coming in and out of the team, playing young kids and everything. But for them to go on, I think, like a 5-game winning streak at that point, to then lose to Derby, full credit to Derby. You've caught a team at the wrong time. You want to be catching them, but you've managed to get all 3 points. So, big up QPR, but big up Derby for being able to take 3 points off them.
Yeah, no, fair play to them. It was a good week for Bristol City last week. Beat us in midweek. It got 9 points from the 3 games. Sinclair Armstrong sealed a narrow victory for the Robins. Bristol City, I thought, actually, when we played them on Wednesday night, boys, I was quite impressed with them. I thought they settled into the game quite nicely. The manager seems quite astute as well.
Yeah,
and it was a really solid victory for them at the weekend.
Yeah, they're very much a dark horse team, I think, this season in the Championship. Kind of going about their business under the radar. Didn't kind of break any banks or kind of headlines of their transfer business. They've been in the Championship for a few years now. They're not going to be bringing in the big names and everything, but that doesn't mean that they're not signing quality players and playing good football. So, full credit to them. And for us, obviously, we know how hard Ashton Gate is to go to and get anything. We went there last time in the Championship and they ended our unbeaten run. So that was always going to be a hard place to go to and to pick up any sort of points. So full credit to them, absolutely.
Yeah, no, it was full credit to them. I want to talk about Norwich. They're having a really, really difficult season. Swansea, who we played a week ago, they piled the pressure on big time. And a lot of their fans last weekend were speaking to me about their striker, Vic Popnik. I didn't know loads about him, but looked really good the weekend. Piled the pressure on Liam Manning big time. He secured a 2-1 victory at home for them. He is an absolute beast up front for them. I thought he was pretty poor against us, Vic Popnik, but yeah, it was a brilliant goal that he scored the weekend for Swansea.
Yeah, very much so. As you say, puts the pressure on Norwich and Liam Manning specifically. I know there are lots of Norwich fans. Yeah, I think there are lots of Norwich fans who are just kind of calling for him to be out now. Which I'm very surprised that he's kind of had that poor a start, because I think he done really well at Bristol City last season, to get him into the playoffs, just kind of narrowly like losing out in certain moments to not go through to the playoff final. I know they ended up kind of being beaten heavily in the end by Sheffield United, but he done really well there. And I think a lot of people would have thought, that Norwich would be better than they are now, despite losing some players, but it's just completely flat out failed, really, hasn't it, the project?
Yeah, their owner's flying in this week, apparently, for talks with Liam Manning. A lot of talks that he could potentially lose his job. But it was 2 goals, actually, for Vic Popnik, however you pronounce it. He scored in the 6th minute and the 69th minute. I think it was the first goal that was a beauty. I'm just watching it back now, Boise, because I thought he scored twice in the game, but I think it was the first hit that was really, really good. I can't get my screen to load, but it was a really big win for Swansea City. I thought, actually, do you know what? I thought we should have beaten them. We should have beaten them at St Mary's. We didn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're not a bad side. They're still mid-table. We'll have a look at the league table in a minute. I want to talk about Sheffield Wednesday on the channel. A lot of people ask me for some thoughts on Sheffield Wednesday. Fair play to their fans, Boise. 27,000 turned up at Hillsborough at the weekend. I've got to say, they've got some incredible fans. It's a great football club, isn't it? They've been boycotting the last few weeks due to the ownership of Chanziri and the mess at their football club. I'm gutted to see them where they are. I really am, because when I grew up as a kid, I just remember watching Sheffield Wednesday play in the Premier League. Some top players there, and to see them where they are right now is really sad. Really sad.
Really, really sad. I mean, no club, you ever really want to see any club go into administration and, be on the verge of going out of business. It's awful. Least of all a team with as much history and kind of status as Sheffield Wednesday. Hillsborough, one of the most iconic football stadiums in England. As you said, it doesn't really matter when you grew up. They were always there, if in the Premier League or, in the Championship, fighting for promotion at times, So my thoughts and prayers go out to everybody affected at the football club, the fans in particular, but also massive big up to the fans for still going out there. And 27,000, as you said, given how poorly that club has been running, you're still going out there and supporting your team. That's what proper football fans are, through those really trying times.
Yeah, and it looks like they could have another points deduction as well, Sheffield Wednesday. You can. They're obviously going to go down. It would take an absolute miracle to keep them up right now. We'll look at the table very, very shortly. Let's just pop up the rest of the results. I hope that they get a buyer really quickly. I'm sure they will. It's a good football club. Someone will snap that up. Yeah, great club. Leicester City, they lost at Millwall. Big win for Millwall. Will Smallbone, though, did pick up an injury. He's out for the remainder of this calendar year. They reckon he won't probably play till after Christmas. Elsewhere, it was a draw for Charlton at Hull. They look a good side, Charlton, at this moment in time. Hull 1, Charlton 1. Middlesbrough, they played Wrexham. They come from a goal behind. It was a header. I think it was Hayden Hackney got the header for Borough. I like Hayden Hackney. Got a lot of time for him as a
Lovely player.
Yeah, he's a good player, isn't he? Really good player. Let's have a look at the Sky Bet Championship and where the weekend's results leaves everybody. Coventry City, as we spoke about, what a start to the season for them, boys. See, they are absolutely flying, aren't they? 28 points on the board, my friend.
Absolutely fantastic. I mean, full credit goes to Frank Lampard. I think they took a risk with getting rid of Mark Robbins. I know they had a poor season for the first half of last season or whenever it was they got rid of him. But they took a massive risk because ultimately, the work he'd done there, the foundations that he built. But listen to their credit, to the ownership's credit. They brought Frank Lampard in, and it's taken them a bit of time, but he's turned them into an absolute beast at the moment. They're scoring goals, putting 5, 6, 7 past people every week. The two top goal scorers in the Championship, I believe, are Thomas Asante and Haji Wright. So that's absolutely unbelievable. I mean, plus 25 goal difference, and you 12 games in. It's absolutely crazy, mate. Full credit goes to Lampard there for me.
Yeah, he's doing really, really well. It is like you say, they're scoring goals, but 12th game already, 34 goals. It matches a 60-year second tier record. That is. It's been a superb start. Whether they can keep it going is another matter. I think they will do. Middlesbrough, still a good start for them. 25 points on the board after 12 games. And then you look at the playoffs. Millwall are in there. Bristol City, Stoke with that good start. And in 6th place, he'd be looking at us and having a bit of a laugh right now. Nathan Jones' Charlton, 6th in the Championship, boys, right now.
Oh my! Yeah, fantastic, isn't it? That's exactly what you want to see. Jones in the playoffs. It's crazy though, isn't it? Look at that top 6 there, and with the exception of Bristol City, who have kind of had their playoffs last season, for example. It's great. There's not a relegated team in there, and all these big, spending teams like Birmingham, for example, they're not in there yet. And it's really, fair play to all those teams who have kind of almost capitalized off of these. These kind of more expectation teams stuttering at the start of the season. And I think for a lot of those teams, I think Middlesbrough and Coventry in particular, they're genuine contenders, and, nobody's expecting them to carry on doing what they're doing all the way through. But, even if they were to slow down just a little bit, they've got quality in that team at the end of the day.
There's one big talking point which we're going to come on to very shortly, and that is ourselves, Southampton. We will look at the bottom of the Championship. And as it stands right now, Saints in 20th, 12 points on the board, just the 2 wins. Sheffield United, the defeat for them Friday, they've still got 9 points. Blackburn, they pull themselves out of the relegation zone with that victory at the weekend against Southampton, a game that I don't think they expected going into it to win it. But Saints, boys, going into it, the record was pretty poor, wasn't it, really? We'd not won there since 1998, and it stays that way. It was a shocking afternoon at Ewood Park. Give me some of your thoughts on it as a Southampton fan, mate.
It's becoming all too familiar, isn't it, at the moment, mate? Unfortunately, I think you go a goal up, you're thinking maybe this is something we could build off of now, and when you have the opportunity to do so, to make it 2-0, to then make it 3-0 potentially, you don't take it ultimately, and then one missed chance later, a shocking substitution later, heads drop, and the next thing you know, you're down 2-1. And then, Blackburn, they know the assignment. They're happy to then go and put all their men behind the ball and see out the game. And that's what they've done. They didn't expect to win it. I think our fans didn't expect to lose it. I think more people are thinking we're not going to win at the moment with how we're playing. But it's unfortunately just becoming all too familiar at the moment, mate. It's not fun being a Saints fan at the moment.
No, it's tough. I've got a video dropping later on this evening, Stick or Twist, it's called. And it will be thoughts on the current predicament, whether Saints stick with the manager or they twist and change. I believe that they won't do anything at this moment in time. I don't see a change at this moment. I think it would be, with an international break just around the corner, like Adam Blackmore and Joe Tessam said in their show on the weekend. I had the radio on because I was at home, and they were kind of feeling that they would leave it to the international break. They won't do anything at this moment in time. I think the weekend's game's massive for him. I will talk about what I feel is going wrong, but in terms of the weekend's game against Preston, it's a huge game. But for me, I've spoken in my video that's about to go out to later on today and give too much away, but I feel it's about going back to basics right now, almost going back to a 4-4-2 or a 4-2-3-1, trying to get his best players into that team. We've signed specific players for creativity, and I think we have to find a way to get our best players in the team, don't we?
Absolutely, and I'm surprised that it hasn't really happened as soon as it should have, because when Will Still came in, he said that we're here to win, however means necessary, and if that's playing ugly, if that's changing formation, it is what it is. And yet for some reason we've persisted with this back five that doesn't really work. If we're being honest, I mean, I don't know how many times we can go and put three centre backs out on the pitch and concede 2 or 3 goals every game. It's unbelievable. And then you're looking at a situation where the attackers are just too isolated at times, but then when they do eventually get an opportunity, they're just not taking them. So I completely agree, mate. I think go back to basics. 4-4-2 for me. Big man, little man partnership up front would have been nice had we had Ross Stewart fit. I can't see him starting Damien Downs, to be honest with you. I don't think he's quite good enough at this moment in time. So who are you looking at? Cameron Archer and Adam Armstrong. I don't know about that, to be honest.
He has 2 massive chances, doesn't he, Adam Armstrong, on Saturday to kill the game. They're big, they're huge chances. And we won't be talking about a defeat. And I look at the game against Swansea, Bristol City, and Saturday. We could win all 3 games if we take our chances, but we don't take our chances. But more criminally, not only do we not take our chances, we just make stupid errors. We make stupid errors, like the worst errors. Like defensively, it's really, really fragile, isn't it?
And this is the thing. This is one of my arguments that I'm for Will Still. I know a lot of fans have had enough of him now, and I don't agree with that personally. I don't think he's the main problem with what's going on at the moment, and I'm happy to debate anybody about that. Because I think you look at some of the mistakes that are being made at the moment, and very similar to what they were like under Russell Martin. It's nothing to do with system. It's basic defending. It's defending 101. It's something that you as a player learn when you're being trained on how to defend, when you come up through the ranks, schools, academies, whatever you do and all that stuff. How the hell are we affording to give these players times to get balls into the box and, free headers or, not looking up and clearing the ball and trying to be a hero? I mean, it's nothing to do with system. It's players making rash decisions that have become all too familiar with the people at this football club. And it's incredibly frustrating. And people really need to start taking accountability for it, because it's just not good enough. Like, it's really not.
I agree. A lot of the players need to stand up. There was a lot of talk on Total Saints podcast last night, and I think they were spot on in their assessment of it. I think players have to step up. He's going to end up the fall guy because he's the manager. But I've defended him a lot, and I know he's being absolutely slaughtered across social media at this moment in time, and he probably has lost the majority of the fan base at this moment in time. I think he could turn it around. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I think a win on Saturday, a win at QPR, and then you've got Sheffield Wednesday at home before the international break. It could look very, very different in a week and a bit's time. It could, if the players give him everything they've got. I'm not convinced that everybody is giving him 110%. That's my honest assessment from what I've seen. I can't dress it up any other way and lie. I just don't see he's getting 100% out of everybody that's playing for him. He gets let down by some big names as well. I think he has done. He took big decisions. Like people talk about him not being brave. I think he's been brave, like really brave, though, to drop his captain for whatever. He wasn't good enough at Hull. Defensively, him and Hull were better, were poor. So he makes the big decisions. We've called for a manager for a long time to drop big players, to make big decisions. People with bad attitudes, to not play them, to not have them involved. I think he's done that. And, you look at a lot of people talking about Rebo and a Dozy. And I was very rash in my assessment on Saturday. I was like, you've got to get him back in. You've got to get Rebo back in the squad. But in hindsight, when you look at it, yes, he's being paid. But what's gone on behind the scenes for him not to be involved? There has to be a reason, doesn't there?
There has to be a reason. But you just made the point there yourself. He's contracted to this club. He plays for the club. If he's there, I'm looking at Saturday. I'm looking at Cameron Bragg on the bench. You play him. You put Aribo on the bench. You know what I mean? He's a senior centre midfielder. Where the hell's Karu Matsuki gone? Why is he not on the bench? These are players. If they're in the squad, you swallow any sort of pride that you, as a manager or the club have, and you put them on the bench. Because what do? You put Cameron Bragg in the back of a taxi and get him from an under-21s game and put him with the first team, and he's not going to be in the headspace to come on, especially when we're,
No, it wasn't great, was it?
Not at all. But you can't blame him one bit, in my opinion. But Aribo is there. You put him on the bench. He's a senior option, and if you don't think he's got a future at this football club, fine. But you should go out there and try and win every single game and put the strongest team and bench possible. And I think it's bizarre. I really do, mate. And the same goes for Sam Edozie as well.
I'd like to know a little bit more what's gone on. I think it will be intriguing, the press conference on Thursday, if it is Thursday, Friday. There's a comment here. I'm going to pop it up on the screen. We lost to a team who haven't won at home for 6 months. He takes off our best player for a player who hasn't played a game. Decision was rightly booed. He doesn't know what he's doing. I get your frustration. Like, I, at the time, was furious. I was furious at the substitution. I thought it was a poor substitution. You could see what you're trying to do, Boise, because he wasn't. We're at a stage we're getting overrun in midfield. Shea Charles was struggling, and he needs someone in there with him. He doesn't want to kill Senza and end up with him injured and push him too far, though he's been our best player, and he should be able to play 90 minutes. But for whatever reason, these players don't. And he wants to look after him. You see what's happened with Shea Charles. We could have had the same with Leo Senza as well. Shea Charles it's a step too far for him. It's a substitution that backfired because it was the wrong decision. I think he should have probably known that he can't play central midfield, Jack Stevens. But the fact there was illness and there was nothing else there, I think it made it really difficult when you look at what you had available. Rebo wasn't involved in the squad. You could blame him for that, but he just didn't. There wasn't I could see what he was trying to do. It was just backfired.
Yeah, exactly. And ultimately, if we come out of this game with Leo Senza injured now for a long-term injury as well, like that's going to be his fault as well, isn't it? Really, why didn't he take him off? He got him injured. So it's like, at the end of the day, he can't win. At the moment, to me, Will still can't win. He can go out there and we could win 3-0 on Saturday, and people are still going to think he's not good enough. And I don't know. I don't really agree with that, to be honest. I think he's a good manager. I don't think he has. I don't think he's talked about this much by a lot of people around the country. If you're not a good manager, he's struggling at the moment because there is this illness going around the camp, which is not his fault at all. But he's also working with some players that aren't giving him 100%. That's not his fault. If these players aren't believing in him, then that's their problem. They need to sort their heads out. Like, you know what I mean? Like, come on.
Good point here. Hasn't Charles been overplayed? Well, I was concerned about it at the weekend. He's played, they said on the radio, he's played every minute of every game for Saints pretty much. And he's played the international games, and he went away in the summer with international duty. So he's being pushed. But it doesn't help when you've got Flynn Downs, who then's sick again at the weekend. It puts him under it puts huge strain on the squad, doesn't it? But it does feel a bit of a mess. It does feel a bit of a mess for me. But I do agree with Paul. Game management, if it works, he's a hero. If it doesn't, he looks a fool. And Like, yeah, we saw Russell Martin do the same thing, didn't we? We see Russell Martin try to plug gaps at times when we're trying to see out games. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't. Like we talk about whether he's a good manager on what basis is he a good manager at the Championship. I think it's time, isn't it? I think in general he's done really well in France. But still, I think he's done a decent job, and it remains to be seen if he can look. He's in a situation now, and I keep saying it, and he'd be allowed to try and ride the next week out. Whether he can get through the next week, it will make or break him. It will, won't it? It's obvious.
Yeah, absolutely. But going back to the hero ball thing as well, ultimately,
I do agree. I agree.
Yeah, like just going back to the hero ball, we put those chances away and make it 2 or 3-0, and then we bring off Senza and then bring Stevens on and concede a goal. Ultimately, it doesn't matter because we've won the game 3-1 or 2-1. So it's not his fault that our strikers aren't taking their chances. Ultimately, he's been stitched up constantly by the fact that we've not got finishers in this team, which, again, it doesn't help the situation, does it, at all? So
this comment out here, there's no evidence to suggest that is a fact, because the only thing I've heard is Shay Charles come out last week and spoke very, very highly of the manager. I've not seen any player, or I've not spoken to any player that said anything negative about him, like nothing at all. So there is nothing to back that up. There's no facts to back that up. So there's a lot of stuff spoken about Boise, a lot of rumours rumble. When things are not going right, isn't there?
It was like that story a month or 2 ago of the mystery championship team whose captain came out and said that the players didn't like the manager or something, and immediately everyone thought it was Stevens talking about him because Steele dropped him after the whole game or something. So I think we live in a day and age now where any story is broken online, then immediately, the rumour mill starts buzzing and everything. So ultimately, it's what is confirmed by the club, which is factual, and the managers and the press themselves. So,
I'm very much of the opinion that he will have to this week. He will have to turn it around. The fact of the matter is, he would have to start winning games. It's a results-driven business, isn't it? It is a results-driven business, and he will have to start winning games.
Definitely, because ultimately, it's only going to keep on growing for him, especially the home games. We heard those boos start to really creep in after this Swansea match last Saturday. The last thing that he's going to want is to go there and have a repeat of that, and people leaving it even earlier than 80 minutes like it was last time. And ultimately, what you don't want is that it becomes so toxic that he's forcibly removed by the club, because nobody wants that. It's becoming very toxic at the moment. We all want to win games. We all want to see our team do well. There's just more things going on at the moment than it's all falling on the manager. So I think that we need to look at the bigger picture about things. That the problems at the moment, to me personally, all start stemming from the owners of this football club, who I think again have failed this manager, and I don't think have really recruited the best that they possibly could in the summer.
Lot of talk around Johannes Spors, isn't there? That the Juventus are interested, potentially moving on. What's your thoughts of the rumours the last couple of days, mate?
I mean, it couldn't have been broken at a perfect time, eh? With the form and the just kind of the aura around the club at the moment. Listen, it's very much like the Joe Shields and the Jason Wilcox stuff of, we don't want to hear it. We want somebody to have come in and be here for a long, long time. We don't want somebody who's going to again jump ship after 6 months. I wouldn't exactly say that Spors has really set the world on fire. I think a lot of people thought that he could be the man to really change the fortunes of this club coming in. I think we were hopeful of that at the very least. But if I'm being honest with you, the way he's kind of spoken, I wouldn't say he's been amazing. And his recruitment, if he's truly led the recruitment this summer, I think some of it's been questionable. You're looking at Damien Downs, as obviously the big ones for that, unfortunately, which he thought he could have been the striker and can be further from the truth. So that being said, it's not the sort of news that you want to be breaking around this time when the club itself is in kind of bordering disarray, to be honest.
Yeah, good comment on the screen. I've popped up. It's from Easygoing, usually involved in the conversation. I think many fans are just fatigued with 4 wins from 50 and 2 relegations. We've spent a lot of money, stayed with the team, very well considering. And I'll tell you what, you got to back that up, boys. The fans have been absolutely phenomenal the last couple of years, and what went on last year and the start of this season so far. I think the fans have been really patient. Do you?
Very patient, especially the ones who are travelling, away all over the country to watch, ultimately what's been lots and lots of losses this season. And, even at St Mary's, kind of where I've been sitting recently, actually, I will say that it has been so much more kind of like loud and kind of, intense, which is what you need. This is what you need to spur these players on. So, listen, take, the fans that are there, going week in, week out, are the real proper fans, the ones that are there to really support the team. And, power to them, really, because it's been a very, very trying year to be a Southampton fan.
Yeah, I think that's a good point as well, Andrew. I think it's like, I think the manager probably obviously needed to get some wins, but I think if we could get to another transfer window, you could start to iron it out a little bit more. Just don't think they were able to get enough business done in the summer. It was always my feeling. It wasn't able to get quite enough out and get everything you 100% needed in. But I do agree with that comment. I think it's a really good comment from yourself there. I felt like that for quite a while, actually. So, yeah, some great comments in the chat actually tonight, boys. There's some really passionate fans, and on all the content about the last couple of days, it's been relentless. I think the instant reaction video at the weekend, or the instant reaction video, was unbelievably well commented on, because everyone's so passionate and everyone's hurting, aren't they? We're all hurting. Nobody wants to see your team just struggling all the time.
Of course not, and that's one thing that we will ultimately, regardless of if you favour a manager or a player or whoever it might be, ultimately one thing that we all have in common is that we want to win games, we want our team to do well, ultimately. And one thing that this year has proven is that this is a very passionate fan base deep down. And, yourself, for example, being able to give the platform for a lot of people to come on and voice their opinions, whether you agree or disagree, whatever it might be, really has brought this fan base together deep down in these trying times. So, yeah, very passionate indeed.
Yeah, great point here. Armstrong has 4 and 6. It's tiresome to hear fans saying the strikers aren't firing when he's doing his job as far as most strikers are concerned. He just needed someone with him. I absolutely echo your comments. I think we've said it all year, haven't we? We needed somebody to play alongside Adam. Yeah. And score goals. There's no doubt about that. They obviously thought it was going to be Damien Downs, and it's obviously absolutely not the case. Yeah, it's very kind of you to say. Really love the channels from outside the ground. Great club, great fan base. Yeah, it is absolutely tremendous. I think it's got some really good fans, some good fan channels around Saints as well. Love the Total Saints podcast last night. It was an absolute crack. A lot of people saying this and a lot of my content. Yeah, it's like, I've said it. If you're going to make a change, who do you go and get? When you talk about championship ready experience, I've had people drop me DM saying, "What do you think about Steven Gerrard?" And I had someone else saying to me about Gerrard. I then have Michael Carrick. Names like this. Michael Carrick's only had one job in the championship. You see what Borough done since he's gone. I think there's a really limited pool of experienced championship managers at this moment in time. I think it's really difficult.
It's very difficult because we can sit around and throw names around and speculate, oh, he'd be a good manager and all that stuff. Ultimately, I think a lot of people would have done that with Will Still and thought he would have got off to a quicker start. But ultimately, the proof is in the pudding when you really get into the nitty-gritty amount of games. So whoever comes in, if there's going to be a change, whoever comes in, he's going to have his work cut out for him, because there are more things going deeper than just managerial stuff, in my opinion.
Yeah, this is a great comment. Yeah, we do need to stick together as a fan base. It's just so much of a split opinion within it. I'm sort of very level-headed, and I see it from both sides, and I kind of listen to everybody's views on it, which is kind of how I make content, really. But yeah, it's passion, isn't it? Everyone's got opinions, and it's the same anything in life. When things are not going right, people are people, they can get quite leery at times and quite nasty. I would just quite always try and be respectful as I possibly can. What else do we have in the chat? He did a great job. I'm a massive fan of his. Romeo, I think he's still without a club, by the way. Aurelio Romeo, worth a punt, but apparently he wants quite a lot of money to sign for anyone, Boise. But he would be a good signing, wouldn't he, for someone?
Certainly a way to get the fans back on side, that's for sure. But great guy, passionate, and definitely would be the closest thing to a leader that we have starting out there if he was to come back. So why not?
I wouldn't play Adam Armstrong unless I had to consistently wasteful in front of goal. I get your point, Ian, but he's still our top goal scorer. He's still scoring goals. He's still, without him, he'd be pretty. You can't. Cameron Archer's not scoring at this moment in time. Damien Downs is not scoring at this time. Ross Stewart's injured. I don't think there's any other option at this moment in time. You know, if we bought a striker in the summer that was going to come in and bang a load of goals in it might be a different story. But you know, he scored 25 goals last time around in the Championship, and since he's come into the side, I think he's done well. Yeah, he is wasteful of his chances. Has to take the 2 on the weekend. But without Armstrong at the moment, we'd be in a bit of a mess, Boise, I'd say.
We desperately need to get him somebody just for him to play off of. That's why him and Adams were so good last time round, because people kind of say that Shay Adams wasn't a natural goal scorer, and it's like, yeah, he wasn't a natural goal scorer, but what he would do is link up and hold up play so that Adam Armstrong can then run with him, and 25 goals coming from that. I mean, it's no secret. Do you know what I mean? So, but I agree with what you said, though. Like we can't. Yes, Armstrong has been wasteful the last couple of games, but he's also the top goal scorer, and you take him out of that team, and ultimately we don't get a point against Derby. We aren't getting anything without him scoring, and his goals do ultimately mean something. It means very little at the moment, but otherwise you're looking at us even worse off in the table. So you can't drop him, in my opinion, anyway.
Yeah, no, it's difficult. It's difficult. A lot of people talk about Romeo. We'd love to see Romeo back. Yeah, I think it would be superb if you could get him in. It's going to be an interesting week, Boise. That is for sure. I'm looking forward to seeing how it unravels, and we'll start prepping our Preston content later on in the week. Press conference is Thursday, I believe, so we'll do some reaction around that. I will get a Preston podcaster or content creator to come on the channel, give us a bit of an inside scoop, someone that watches them week in, week out. All right, one of our ex-players, Boise, plays for Preston North End, by the way. Terry Small, he's doing well with that, actually, from what I've been told.
I think he scored the other week, right, against Charlton, and he was giving it like the big uns to all the Charlton fan or something. I think. No, listen, to be fair, when we signed him, I know that there was something about him when he came out of the Everton Academy. So it's good to see him doing well. When it comes to Preston, I'm a big fan personally of Alfie Devine, who is on loan from Spurs. I think he's had a really good start to the season. So they seem to have a nice mix, Preston, of some really good, exciting young talent, as well as some proven Championship talent. So it's no game's easy for us at the moment, but it's going to be a really difficult game with them just outside of the playoffs as well.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what the atmosphere is like, how many tickets are sold as well. Obviously, when things are not going right, tickets don't sell, do they? So it'd be interesting to see what the atmosphere is like at St Mary's. Do you know what? I was thinking about St Mary's a lot last couple of days, and I was thinking about our results there since we've been there. Like, I was really fortunate, really lucky, and I harp on about it quite a lot, but I grew up going to the Dell, and look, we were always pretty poor. And I was on my YouTube for you page a few days ago, and it showed me like match of the day highlights. And it showed me, it come up with match of the day, and it was the game day that we played Leicester down at the Dell. James Beattie scored for Saints. Saints won. They come from behind to win, and then we went on that run of form, didn't we? But the Dell, I used to love going to watch games there. Though we struggle, we find wins. I look at St Mary's sometimes. I was just like, I can't remember. Like there have been good moments. Don't get me wrong, but it feels like there's been more bad moments there than good moments. I don't know why I feel like that. Maybe that's just me, but the playoff semi-final obviously stands out as a really high moment. Inter Milan in European football was amazing, but yeah, it's a fun when things are not right in a stadium like that. It can feel quite cold, and I don't know. It's got a weird vibe about it, St Mary's.
I think, yeah, I know how you feel. I think because I think the last few years in particular, there's been lots of trauma going. Been more trauma than positive at St Mary's. You're looking at a 9-0. You're looking at drubbings, 4, 5, 6-0 against big teams like Chelsea and Spurs, for example. You're looking at these, leads been thrown away, but then I think you also need to look at the fact that you need to look at the 8-0 versus Sunderland. A record Premier League home win for us. You look at Inter Milan. You're looking at around those times of Pochettino and Koeman when we Liverpool 2-0 and then we come and win it 3-2. So there has been that real nice mix of stuff, and I just think that recency is kind of recent memories are very important, and they're kind of scarring a lot of us as fans. So that's why I think naturally it feels like there's been more negatives than positives at St Mary's.
Yeah, I'm just going to read this comment out. They were good, weren't they, last year? I think Fellows was brilliant for West Brom. Azaz, though the Borough fans are quite mixed on Azaz from what I've heard. Flynn Downs was really good when he came here on loan, wasn't he? Do you remember? Flynn Downs was good. But I think he was probably trying to make a point for West Ham. Do you know what I mean? Like, he loved West Ham. It was his club, and he probably wanted to make a point and go back there, and then they didn't want him. I think he had second thoughts about coming here because I think Ipswich wanted him as well. So I do like Flynn Downs. A good Flynn Downs is good, but we haven't seen really a good Flynn Downs in a while. Whether he can find that form again that he had, he's going to have to step up Downs now, by the way. No matter what anyone says, he has to step up, doesn't he?
Yeah, big time. And he was so good last time out because he was so important to the way that we played. When Downs didn't play, we were not very bad, but we were nowhere near the same team that we were when he was playing. Kind of how calm he was to come deep and pick up the ball and help advance the play forward. And I think unfortunately it didn't work in the Premier League for him because I think he became too aggressive and he was getting himself booked, and that's unfortunately a trait that still exists in him now. But you're absolutely right, mate. A good Flynn Downs is a very good football player, and we just need him to really step up now and get back to his best, especially because he's working with two young guys who, I know Charles was on loan at Sheffield Wednesday last season, but Yander in particular, who are still adapting to this level and style of football at the end of the day.
Yeah, Flynn Downs was good last time out. I don't think it was just he liked the manager. I'm sure he liked the manager because he came here to play for him. But I also think like he was wanting to be a Premier League player at West Ham, and he was doing everything he can to prove it, probably. And and then he obviously didn't get it, and he probably felt a bit rejected. It's just like it's how it goes, isn't it? In football, it's been a great live. I really enjoyed it. I thought we'd come on, talk about the Championship, look at what's happening, what's going on around us. I know it's a tough time to be a Saints fan, but football does go in circles. It will eventually come back round. It may get worse before it gets better. I hope it just starts getting better, but there's no guarantees in football, unfortunately. I love it as much as every single one of the viewers tuning in. But a lot of people talking about protests at the weekend. I haven't seen anything anywhere. I don't know where it's all coming from, but I've not seen anything of it at all. I've been on Saints Web quite a lot last couple of days. I haven't seen loads of it. So a lot of people in the chat talking about it. I just take it with a pinch of salt until I actually see it. Right, boys, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for joining me. It's Ugly Inside. I will go check that out and have a look. Thank you all very much for tuning in. It's been an absolute pleasure as always. So see you in another video very, very soon.